Hello, hello.
Hello.
How are
How
you?
are you today? Oh,
Good.
there we
You're good. I'm good. Yeah. Good
good.
day.
We're all good. We're
Sunny
just
day on the land today. Beautiful.
beautiful.
Beautiful. Very early summer. It's been very hot, but a lot of flowers, a lot of plants, which is great for our topic today, which is
I know,
about
which is
sacred foraging, sacred relationship with plants when it comes to us using those plants, being in relation to those plants for our medicines, for our prayers. Sacred
Mhm.
foraging. So tell me a
Yeah.
bit
So,
about your relationship around that. Mm.
yeah, if I just relate it to foraging, right? Other than farming, I believe I've been taught, right, that when you are in relationship, that there is this give and flow, this listening to. And so when you go out to the land and ask permission to enter, when it greets you and it allows you, right? Then the plants that you actually need, right? Not that you think you need, will reveal themselves, right? And those that are ready to be with you will be the ones. So you could go to a flower, even let's just say rosemary that a lot of people have, right? Or little herbs that you're growing. And we don't come from a tradition as, oh, I need this, I'll take it, right? Let me cook with this. It's like, oh, which one would like to be part of it? And so as they volunteer, right, to be part of that, then you always gift back. You gift back the land, whether it's song, whether it's, part of your water that you brought with you, giving back to that. So it continues to grow and flourish. And the exchange is that it is willing to also learn from you, to be of service because its life cycle isn't done when you consume or you eat it. It's just becoming part of all that is, right? As it transforms, right? And humans can transform things biologically. Animals transform things biologically in a different way. And so, yeah, there's a lot of asking when it comes to foraging. Um, and I think it's a beautiful thing, especially you get to sing a lot. So I like singing. So, what
Mm.
about you?
Yeah, many years ago, I was in the Lakota reservation, and an elder that I was working with, and we went for a walk. And um, and if you've ever been in South Dakota, there's not a lot of plants there. It's a bit dry. I mean, some parts there is rivers and little mountains, a bit more green, but we were in more like a big plain, open plain. And we came to a plant that I didn't know that was there, and asked him the name of the plant in Lakota language and in English. And then I asked him, what is this plant used for? And he looked at me and said, what do you want it to be? I say the Western people, when they forage, they look at science, and this plant is good for that, this plant is good for that. When we forage, we look at people, plant.
Hmm.
That plant is a person. She's alive. She has a spirit. Maybe she's happy today. Maybe she's not. Maybe she want to be picked. Maybe she doesn't. And if you were to just pick it up without asking permission, without having communication, you're not getting the plant. You're just getting the physical body of that plant, but you're not getting her spirit. She's not alive anymore in your body when you can take it. And that's not healing. Deeper healing is maybe you go for that walk and you took that plant and say, this is what's going on in my life right now. I'm really troubled.
Hmm.
I'm depressed. I have anxiety. I have
Hmm.
pain in my belly, whatever it is, and see if the plant respond. Or better, just walk with that prayer and see who is calling you. Because they are hearing, like you said, your songs. They are
Hmm.
hearing your prayers, and they are going to answer, and you're going to be pulled into a direction in that forest, on that plain, to a plant that you're going to say, this is me. This is what I do. This is what I do for you.
Yeah.
Then, you're going to pick it up in the proper way, put some tobacco offering first, and then pick the plants, and making sure, there are other plants, and taking the grandmother, you're taking someone that's middle-aged there. There are many, many protocols on which plant to gather to. It's not just once you found it. And then when you're going to consume that through a tea or a tincture, that plant is going to speak to you. She's going to heal not just your physical body, but your emotion, your mind, your spirit. It's very common when you work with plant that way that they come into your dreams. They might want a song, by the way, not just when you pick it up, but they might want to sing for her for the next months. So that's disconnecting from the idea that the land, including its animals and its plants and its rocks and its waters, is up for grab.
Yeah.
That is, something that we are entitled to take.
Yeah.
It's a bit like going to a doctor office and kidnapping a doctor for you, right? That's a little bit what you're doing.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you might want to call first and then have an appointment and then talk to the doctor and see if he's willing to help you. By the way, he's going to tell you if he's going to help you. But that's the same process, right? So it takes I always tell people, decenter the human conversation. Decenter yourself from it. Try to see it from the plant perspective here, because you will see that what she wants, what she asks, and how to relate is going to be very different from the way you might relate to someone else.
Yeah, we don't look at plants as ingredients or experiences, right? We don't go to them to add to our whatever we need. We don't go to ceremonies with plants just for the experience, right? So we're both having this discussion, and we've had several discussions about also intuition. What do you say to people when they're saying, "Oh, but I hear this plant calling me," you know?
I hear that a lot. People.
I know. That's why.
Well, first, I think, there are plants that are very fashionable, very trendy, that we made fashionable, that we made trendy. Those plants, I'm not talking the one that are really fashionable, which are the one growing in abundance in your garden. Those are the plants that
Yes.
are trying to loudly say, I'm growing a lot this year. You probably need me. And I've many,
Dandelions.
right? I have many story about that, where plants, and that's Matthew Wood that taught me that. Those are elders that taught me that plants will show up ahead of the illness. They will show up if you're connected to a land and you go for walks and you're paying attention. There are years where you will see some plants are overabundant, and it's always ahead, because they are wise and they are connected and they know of whatever illness is coming. I was talking to an herbalist the other day that said that the 6 months before the COVID epidemic, certain plants that are for respiratory infections, immune systems, were growing like a lot more than usual around New York City, like around New Jersey and those areas. And he said, when I saw that, I knew a big epidemic with some kind of virus or bacteria was going to come that was going to attack the lungs. And so, as a good herbalist, he prepared a lot of medicine ahead of time, right? That's plants calling you. This is that plant is calling you or calling us, right? Because they're often calling us. If it's because you read a lot about it on the internet, or all your buddies and friends are telling you about it, or like you said, I think it was a very good point that you mentioned, you just want to have an experience, that's not calling. That's surface level. That's the mind again. That's not coming from the belly. That's not coming from the roots. And so you might want to sit with that first. What is it in me that is really cool now? Is it my mind? Or is it really my soul? Is that the plants calling me, really? Or is it some kind of unacknowledged desire of experience to belong in the
Yes.
crowd that has that experience, for example?
And excitement, right? We follow, excitement. We follow thrills. And so, again, I think learning, how plants communicate is really important, because There are, I get a lot of people who said, the plant said this, the plant said that. What do you think? And I was like, well, I'm not going to think. I'm going to go ask, you know, you know, and and they're always like, oh, well, why? And I'm like, because if that's what they said, I'm going to verify, right? I'm not going to go into my process. I can tell you my process, and I can tell you what I know about you and how you have tendencies of thought processes. So that's what I'll say is like, I'll go ask. And so I think it's so important, again, when we're talking about foraging, when we're talking about community, when we're talking about relationship, all these conversations that we're having boil down to that relationship, right? What is your relationship with all of the kingdoms on the planet? And when it comes to plants, are you aware, as you said, that they're in much deeper relationship with humans than we give them credit for? Right. I was listening to something the other day, and he was talking about how they've proven that plants have eyes, quote unquote, and like they can see us. It's not, their central nervous system isn't like a human one, but that they can perceive, right? And we've, you can read all about this in your scientific journals, but that's why he says, when you go into sometimes a forest or something, you feel like you're being looked at. It's because it's all the plant beings being like, oh, this person's here, So if they're observant of us, right, because they were here first, right, they've been here longer, right, it's so important for us to then not just engage them when we need them, right, but how can we be observers of their environment? What do they need? What can we offer them? Right? How can we be of service? And so foraging, again, which was the original topic, is about that potential relationship between humans, coming with humility to the plant kingdom to ask for help, you know?
Yeah, and we need to completely put upside down the idea that we are going to forage, we are the one finding the plant, and try to open to the possibility that the plants wants to be foraged. The plants wants to find us, want us to find them, and that is the way we should connect to it. That we should really, instead of say, well, I want to go find a plant and I'm going to go on that trail. No, it's like stopping on that trail, deep listening, prayers, meditation, and then turning right into the bushes, just following where you're feeling that something is calling. It might be that plant, it might be another one, in fact, that it is for exactly what you need. So also not being in this mind that has this idea, okay, I'm going to forage that mushroom on Saturday. Maybe there is a plant that wants to be found because you have an illness that you don't know about yet. And that plant is going to be louder because the mushroom and the plants and the trees are talking and say, okay, if he's coming tomorrow, let's call him and we hope he's going to listen, or she's going to listen, or they're going to listen, right? So let's try to approach our foraging from the plant perspective. And I think from there, we'll learn everything we need to learn on how to really properly treat them, take care of them, sing to them, and more.
Yeah, yeah. It's the journey, not the destination of the foraging that is part of the process.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you, Marita. Thank you, everyone.